What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another crime story video. This video was out a bit late. I understand. I am very sorry. I got busy, got distracted, kept on saying, hey, I gotta record, but kept on forgetting. Okay, so we now have two different stories that we can read. It looks like they slowly delete my stories. I don't know why they changed how it worked, because I had a list of stories on my other phone, but I don't know. Should I turn on dark mode? I think I should. I don't know. Alright, so today we're going to be reading the story of Edmund Kemper. Before we get started, I just want to make sure to say to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so that way you never miss another video. Day 2 of daily upload. Don't want to miss that. So make sure you have notifications on so you can make sure you watch every single video. Alright, let's get started. On August 27th, 1964, Edmund Kemper's grandmother, Matilda Hugh Kemper, was sitting at the kitchen table. Edmund and Maddie got into an argument, and Edmund stormed off and grabbed the hunting rifle his grandmother had given him. He returned to the kitchen, and Maddie told him not to shoot any birds. That's not what he was planning on doing. He shot her in the head, and then he shot her 2 more times in the back. Maddie Kemper additionally suffered multiple post-mortem stab wounds with the kitchen knife. He then dragged her body out of the kitchen and into her bedroom. When Kemper's grandfather, Emil Kemper, came home from grocery shopping, Kemper went outside and shot him in the driveway. Then he called his mother and told her what he had done. She told him to call the police. After doing so, he waited to be taken into custody. When questioned by the authorities, Kemper said that he just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma, and that he killed his grandfather so he would not have to find out that she was dead. He was only 15 years old at the time of their murders, and was subsequently diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. He was sentenced to the Atasco State Hospital as a criminal insane juvenile. Here he assisted in the creation of psychological tests and memorized the correct answers to at least 14 different tests. This allowed him to successfully pass any test as sane, healthy-minded, and well-adjusted. Kemper later realized that being able to understand how many tests function allowed him to manipulate his psychiatrists. He also admitted that he learned a lot from the sex offenders to whom he administered tests, like how it was best to kill a woman after raping her to avoid leaving witness. Between May of 1972 and April of 1973, Kemper embarked on a 11-month murder spree. Starting with young women, he picked up hitchhiking and ended with the murder of his own mother before killing his last victim, his mother's best friend, who he'd invite over for dinner and a movie. In the beginning, Kemper picked up around 150 hitchhikers, any of whom would have been suitable victims. But unfortunately, his homicidal sexual urges, that he liked to call his little zapples, had been triggered during those encounters. On May 7, 1972, Kemper was driving in Berkeley when he picked up 2 18-year-old Fresno State students. Mary Ann Pisca and Anita Mary Lucisa were hitchhiking to Stanford University. He took them to a secluded wooded area near Alameda that he knew from working for the highway department. He handcuffed Pisca and locked up Lucesa in the trunk before stabbing and strangling both of them. Kemper then put both of the women's bodies in the trunk of his Ford Galaxia and returned to his apartment. He was pulled over on the way there by a police officer for a broken taillight, but continued on his way afterwards. His roommate was not at home, So he took their bodies into his apartment and let his little zappos run wild. He took pornographic photograph- photographs of them and had sex with their naked corpse before dismembering them, and then put the body's parts into plastic bags, which he later disposed of near Loma Prieta Mountain. Before throwing their severed heads into a ravine, Kemper engaged in Irmodo with both of them. On the evening of September 14th, 1972, Kemper picked up 15-year-old Korean dance student Aku. What? Sorry if I butchered that. She had decided to hitchhike to dance class after missing her bus. When Kemper picked her up, he drove to a remote area and pulled a gun on Ku. Before accidentally locking himself out of his car, Ku unlocked the door for him and let him back in, even though she had Kemper's gun and the keys to the car. He proceeded to pinch her nostrils to force her to black out. Then he raped her and killed her by strangulation. He threw her body into the trunk of his car, and then he decided to have a few drinks at the bar. He opened the trunk again just to admire his catch, like a fisherman one last time before taking his trophy prize back to his apartment. He had sex with her corpse before dismembering and disposing of her remains in similar manners as his previous two victims. Aku's mother called the police to report the disappearance of her daughter and put up hundreds of flyers of her missing daughter. The next day, Kemper went before a panel of psychiatrists as a follow-up requirement for parole. The first doctor talked with him for a while and indicated that he saw no reason to consider Kemper a danger to anyone. The second one actually used the words normal and safe, and both recommended the sealing of his juvenile records to help him to become a better citizen. On January 7th, 1973, Kemper, who had now moved back in with his mother, was driving around the Cabrillo College campus. That's when he picked up his next hitchhiker, 18-year-old college student Cynthia Ann Scott, who liked to be called Cindy. He drove Cindy to a secluded wooded area and fatally shot her with a 22 caliber pistol before putting her in the trunk. He drove to his mother's house, where he kept her body hidden in a closet in his room overnight. When his mother left for work the next morning, he had sex with and removed the bullet from Scal's corpse before dismembering and decapitating it in his mother's bathtub. He kept the severed head for several days, regularly engaging in Irumata with it before burying it in his mother's garden facing upward toward her. He later said he did so because his mother always wanted people to look up to her. He threw the body parts over a cliff, but they quickly washed up onto the beach. On February 5th, 1973, after another fight with his mother, Kemper left his house in search of someone to take his anger out on. With heightened suspicion of a serial killer preying on hitchhikers in the Santa Cruz area, students were advised to only get into cars with university stickers on them. Kemper had such a sticker as his mother worked at UCSC. He found 23-year-old Rosalind Heather Thorpe and a 20-year-old Allison Leo on the UCSC campus, with both of the young women in his car. He drove through the campus and slowed down. Then he remarked on the beautiful view. He picked up his gun from his lap and shot Thorpe first. She fell against the window, and Miss Leo started to panic. He fired through her hands. She was moving around, and he missed twice before shooting her in the temple. But she was still alive as he approached the university gate, where two young men were stationed. When they saw Kemper's university sticker, they waved him through. The two women were wrapped in blankets, and one of them was in the front passenger seat. He told some interviewers later that he explained to the guard that these girls were drunk and was trying to get him back to their dorms. He shot her again, point blank, once he was further away, and that finished her off. Pulling into a cul-de-sac, he quickly transferred the bodies to the trunk. He beheaded them and had sex with Alice's body, then removed the bullet from Rosalind's head like he did with Sydney's. He drove away from Santa Cruz to dispose of the body parts, then on Pacifica to get rid of the heads and hands. Nearly a month after killing Rosalinda and Alice, he killed his own mother. He waited all night in his room while she slept, and at 5:15 a.m., he got a hammer from the kitchen and went to her bedroom. He struck her once very hard and then slit her throat. Then he beheaded her and unsuccessfully tried to get rid of her larynx by putting it down the garbage disposal. He put her head on a shelf and screamed at it for an hour, threw darts at it, and ultimately smashed it. That afternoon, he decided that if someone else were found dead with his mother, then suspicion might point away from him. So he told Sarah Hollett, a friend of hers, that there was a surprise dinner for his mother and she was invited. When she arrived, he strangled her, first manually, and then with a scarf he had obtained from uh, a coup. Then he removed Sarah's clothes and put her on his bed and had sex with her corpse. He put his corpse in the closet and left a note to the police saying, approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday, no need for her to suffer anymore at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quite quick asleep the way I wanted it, not sloppy and incomplete Gents. Just a lack of time. I got things to do. He drove nonstop to hold on, Pueblo, Colorado. After not hearing any news on the radio about the murders of his mother and Hallet, he found a phone booth and called the police. He confessed to the murders of his mother and Hallet, but the police did not take his call seriously and told him to call back at a later time. Kemper called again several hours later, asking to speak to an officer he knew personally, and confessed to killing his mother and Halett. Then he waited in his car for the police to arrive, arrest him, and take him into custody, and he later confessed to killing 6 students when asked what motivated him to turn himself in. Kemper said the original purpose was gone. It wasn't serving any physical or real or emotional purpose. Then he said it was just a pure waste of time emotionally. I couldn't handle it much longer. Toward the end there, I started feeling the folly of the whole damn thing, and at the point of near exhaustion, near collapse, I just said to hell with it and call it off. During his trial, a court-appointed psychological hold on. Psychologists revealed that Kemper had also engaged in cannibalism of some of his victims. He alleged Kemper sliced flesh from the legs of some of his victims and cooked and ate these strips of flesh and macaroni casserole. On November 8th, 1973, the 6-man, 6-woman jury convened for 5 hours after declaring Kemper sane and guilty on all costs. He asked for the death penalty, requesting death by torture, but California had a moratorium on executions. Instead, he received 7 years to life for each count, with these terms to be served concurrently. He was sentenced to California Medical Facility. He was violently denied himself parole in July 2007, July 2012, and again in July 2017. Each time he told the parole board that he was not fit to return to society. Since his impersonate, Kemper has participated in many interviews and appeared in documentaries. These interviews had contributed to psychological understandings of the minds of serial killers and had been useful in criminal profiling. FBI profiler John E. Douglas described Kemper as among the brightest inmates he'd ever interviewed and found him capable of rare insight for a violent criminal. Kemper talks openly about his crimes and says that he participates in interviews to save others like himself from killing. In one case, he said, "There's somebody out there that is watching this and hasn't done that, hasn't killed people and wants to, and rages inside and struggles with that feeling. They need to talk to somebody about it." Thank you, everybody, for watching this. If you still made it here, tomorrow's video is going to be Among Us, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss tomorrow's video or any of the other videos. And have a great rest of your day. Comment down below if you like this. And yeah. See y'all in the next video. Peace out. Love y'all. Bye-bye.